Hello, we are continuing on in our applying percents unit. This lesson is on percent of change. The percent of change is a ratio that compares the change in quantity to the original amount. So you want to make sure that you have this written down and circled. Find it in your notes packet, whatever. Percent of change equals amount of change over the original amount. So you make a ratio. So you might have to add that line in between if it's not in your note packet. So percent of increase means that it is increasing by a certain percent, and percent of decrease means that it is decreasing by a percent. So let's practice finding the percent of change. So the price of gas in 1990 was $1.30. The average cost in 2016 was $2.14. What is the percent of increase in gas prices? So we can see that it changed and it went up 84 cents, but that's not the percent of increase. We want to know by what percent, so like what percent of $1.30 did it go up to $2.14. So we take the change in the amount because we have a percent of increase because we're increasing from 130 to 214. We're going to take $2.14 and we're going to subtract $1.30. And then we divide it by the original amount, which means it's the amount that we start with. Not necessarily the smaller, not necessarily the bigger, whatever number we started with in the situation. So then it would be over $1.30. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 214 minus $1.30, which we just had talked about was 84 cents. And then we are going to divide it by $1.30. And I get 0.646. I'm going to round it to my thousandths. Okay, and then it's a percent, so we need to change it to a percent. So remember, we go 2 to the right. So it's going to be 64.6, so 64 and 0.6%, and then we would say increase. Sorry, I ran out of room there. Currently, the average price of a pair of Nike shoes is $120. In 1980, the average was $70. What is the percent of change on the price of the shoes? Is it a percent increase or decrease? So currently, the average price is $120. In 1980, it was $70. So that means it started at $70 and it went up to $120. So I know that it's going to be a percent increase. So I take the difference. So I'm just taking my bigger number minus the smaller number to find my difference. So 120 minus 70. And then the big question I have to ask myself for my denominator in my fraction is, what is the original amount, or what is the starting amount, which we said was 70 because 1980 it comes before today. So it would be over 70. So we would do 120 minus 70 and we get 50 over 70. So we do 50 divided by 70, and we get 0.714. Again, I'm going to round it to the nearest hundredth, because then remember we have to change it to a percent. We go 2 over, no matter what, 2 to the right, so 71.4% increase. Because again, it went from 1980, it started at 70, up to 120 now. And then we have the price of a new vehicle was $21,140. During the holiday sale, the car was reduced to $19,820. What is the percent of decrease? I know it's a decrease because it started here and it ended here. So I'm going to take my difference, 21,140 minus 19,820. And then remember, it's over the original amount, which is the price that it started at, is 21,140. So I put that all in my calculator. 21,140 minus 19,820, and I get 21,320. So it was the price difference over 21,140. So then 1,320 divided by 21,140 equals 0.062. And then we go over 2 to the right. So it's going to be a 6.2% decrease. So what this means is that they took $21,140 and they took 6.2% of that amount and they reduced it, and so that's how they got the new price. So they took 6.2% off of 21,140 and they brought it down to 19,820. On Wednesday night, it was 61 degrees. The next morning, it was 22 degrees. Find the percent of change. Is it a percent increase or decrease? Yikes, that's a big change. So we're going to do 61 minus 22. And then remember, the denominator is what we started with, which was 61. So 61 minus 22 is 39 over 61. So I'm going to do 39 divided by 61. Remember, order matters when we're dividing. And I get 0.639. So then that's going to end up being 63.9%. We could probably round that to 64%. And remember, we're going from 61 to 22. So it is a decrease because it went down. That's all I have for you. Have a great day.